Hello again, welcome to Football Spy Online. Lots to get through today, including the potted match report where I give you the lowdown on one of the matches that I've been to over the last 48 hours, and also the progress report. My views on the signing so far this summer that's made the biggest impact over the last 48 hours. But before we start, a big thank you to Beth in Brighton who sent me this, what shall henceforth be known as the Football Spy Cup. Thank you very much indeed, Beth. Got a bit of coffee in there today. Now, we're going to start with Bolton and the potted match report. As I say, I was at Bolton against Newcastle on Saturday, and Newcastle fans, you must have been very happy with the fact that Sam Allardyce has got his reign at St James's Park off with a stunning win, the first time since 2001 that Newcastle have been able to win at the Reebok Stadium. However, Bolton fans, you're in for a long, hard season. Sam Ali, top class #2. As a #1, can he cut it? Not on the evidence of what I saw at the Reebok Stadium. Kevin Nolan, Nicolas Anelka not looking anything like the players that they were under Allardyce. Also this, El Hadji Diouf. Here's the headline: sorry Bolton fans, you've had your chips. El Hadji Diouf saying after the match he is off, dropped by Lee before the game, basically coming on as a second half substitute, but that's not enough for El Hadji Diouf. He says that unless the manager has confidence in him, he is off. Now we know that El Hadji Diouf has been a bit of a troublemaker in the past. However, under Allardyce he really has shown his quality, and he could be a good addition, a good acquisition for another side. There are still 2 weeks to go before the end of the transfer window. Can Sammy Lee turn that one round? Now onto the main Football Spy page, and this story up here is very interesting indeed. Ida's killer wage demand. Ida Gudjohnsen wants a staggering £100,000 a week contract from the Premier League club chasing him, and that's why, from the Premier League pack chasing him, that's why the Barcelona star proving so hard to move. It's Alan Nixon's story, and basically he's saying here that West Ham, Middlesbrough and Blackburn have been interested in taking him from Spain with a fee around £6.7 million, but £100,000 a week. I reckon that has stopped quite a few people in their tracks. And even big spending West Ham, would they really be willing to upset the dressing room by shelling out £100,000 a week for Ida Gudjohnsen? I think that's a very, very tough one. However, considering that they didn't manage to score on Saturday and they were completely outmanoeuvred by Man City, I wonder. Now, before we carry on, I just want to draw your attention to this.
Welcome back to Football Spy Online. I'm here with Darren Lewis from the Daily Mirror. Darren, do you want to have a few words?
Well, not really. I mean, you're going to be the man who's going to be talking to Football Spy viewers, and the man that Daily Mirror readers is going to read. So, why don't you have another say?
I'll be here every Monday talking about the biggest stories and the best action from the weekend.
And I'll be here every day talking about all of the transfers as the window reaches its conclusion on August the 31st. Join us both here on Football Spy Online, Football Extra and in the Daily Mirror. And you can read Stan Collymore in the Daily Mirror's Mania section every Monday. Stan the Man Collymore's take on the weekend. Great piece on Joey Barton today. Stan himself, a top-class player, went to Liverpool for £8.5 million. You may remember in '95, had his own crimes and misdemeanours. His take on Joey Barton, very interesting indeed today. Also, Stan Collymore will be here on Football Spy Online as the transfer window reaches its conclusion, and also on Football Spy Extra. So tune in to mirror.co.uk for that. Now, moving on with the Football Spy transfer rumours, and in the Times, the excellent game. As always, their decent bet section of Window Watch. Arsenal have stepped up their interest in Johan Gouffran. They've watched a Ken forward in the last 2 matches, but they have not yet made a formal offer for the 21-year-old. However, it's been suggested that Arsenal will sign him and loan him back to the French club before the until the end of the season. In the Express, 2 very good stories in the Express. We don't normally do 2 stories from a paper, but we're going to do that with the Express today, because the first one is this: Lualua exit leaves Redknapp searching. Lamana Lualua moved to the Greek champions Olympiakos yesterday for £3 million on a 3-year deal. Harry Redknapp, however, still looking to get another striker in. Doesn't think he'll get Yakubu from Middlesbrough, but he does want Nicolas Anelka from Bolton. Now, the disinterested way in which Nicolas Anelka played, and he did score on Saturday, but just didn't look as interested as he has done in past games. And I wonder if he could be up for a move. Redknapp willing to part with Matthew Taylor, his left back, in a part exchange deal for Anelka. The story's been written by Peter White, who knows a lot about what goes on down on the South Coast. This is a very interesting story indeed. Elsewhere in the Express, this story: Mikel Silvestre revealing in the Express that Joey Barton is his main reason for turning down a move to Newcastle. Now, you may remember Joey Barton was involved in that incident with Ousmane Darboe on the City training ground, and basically Silvestre saying here, I chose to turn down the millions that Newcastle were offering me. I could not sign for Newcastle out of respect for Ousmane Darboe. So Silvestre would have been a fantastic acquisition for Newcastle, but they're losing out on him because of their shenanigans on the training ground. I don't think Allardyce can be blamed for that. It's not his fault, but the fact is they've missed out on a very good player. Now, as I say, we're going to have a progress report every week on the signings so far this summer. That's made the biggest impact. And for me, it's been Roca Santa Cruz. Bayern Munich forward, superb player, fell out of love with the hierarchy there, or rather they fell out with him. Moved to Blackburn for £4.5 million. Came on Saturday in their match against Middlesbrough and scored literally with his first touch. He's going to prove to be a fantastic player for Mark Hughes. And I think when you compare him with some of the other signings that have been made this summer, I think that Rovers have got fantastic value for money. Compare that, however, with this. We're going to move on to the Football Spy main page again. This is an interesting story. Rams line up £5.5 million Ken Wins. Now, if you watch Football Spy online regularly, you'll know my feelings on Ken Win-Jones. This is a quite outrageous piece of business on both sides. How Southampton can turn down £5 million as they did last week for Ken Win-Jones is a mystery to me. They look now as though they're going to accept £5.5 million from Derby. Derby, come on, surely there are better strikers who could provide far more value for money for you than Ken Win-Jones. It looks as though that's going to be tied up in the next 48 hours, and that will beat the previous Derby transfer record of £3.5 million for Robert Earnshaw. Now, Earnshaw had scored in the Premiership before. He was value for money. Why, oh why, oh why are you going to go and buy Ken Win-Jones? Lovely chap, but just not worth the money. Our final story today, Hammers to join the race for Yakubu. West Ham preparing a bid for unsettled Middlesbrough striker Yakubu. Now, we told you last week that we did believe West Ham would enter the race for him. Everton already having a bid turned down. Middlesbrough boss Gareth Southgate insisting that Yakubu is happy at Teesside. We don't think so here on Football Spy Online, and West Ham willing to test their resolve with a big money offer. Given that they're obviously going to back out of the move for Gudjonsson at £100,000 a week, Yakubu could be a very interesting acquisition indeed. We'll have to let you know how that goes, and of course everything else here on Football Spy Online. I'll see you next time.